And just to finish, I believe that Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Kamala.
Former President and current Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump held a town hall event in Lancaster on Sunday evening. He took questions from voters and focused primarily on immigration. Trump provided a few new policy details about his signature issue, suggesting that local law enforcement could be used to facilitate a mass deportation plan. He also claimed that he could unilaterally close the southern border without requiring congressional approval.
Figuring out what the hell we're going to do, because what they've done to our country, what they have done, and I'll tell you who is affected most, the black population, the Hispanic population, because their jobs are being lost. People that had jobs for years are losing their job now to people that came into our country illegally. So that's a really, and they're starting to see it. You know, the black population over the last short period of time, their numbers, their unemployment numbers have just skyrocketed. The reason is people coming into the country illegally are taking their jobs. So, and I'll tell you what's going to be affected very much are going to be unions. But you're going to see things happening that are just, it's just too much. In one town in Ohio, a town of, think of this, a town of 52,000 people, they put 32,000 illegal migrants in this town, right? 32,000 illegal migrants into a 52,000 people town. In Aurora, they have people that are running in and walking down the streets carrying weapons. And the landlord to the building is saying, I don't know what I'm going to do here. They're collecting the rent in the building for themselves. I mean, and this is happening all over. This is happening all over the country. You know, we mentioned a few different places. And a lot of mayors don't want to talk about it because it's bad for the reputation of the state and the town or the city that they're in. But look at New York, what's happened. Look at Chicago. Look at Los Angeles, what's happening. Our country's being destroyed by incompetent politicians. And, you know, all they have to do, remember this, when they say a bill, she always said the bill wasn't passed because the Senate wouldn't want to go against Trump. He called, it had nothing to do with me. The bill was no good. But listen, all the president has to do is she gets to the White House, wakes him up. They call because if it's after 4 o'clock, he sleeps after 4 o'clock. Get him the hell down to the Oval Office and say, President, sign the bill. All he has to do is say, the borders are closed. Tell that to the Great Border Patrol. The borders are closed, and those borders, that's what I did. I didn't have a bill. I had the best border maybe ever. I didn't have a bill. I just said, close the borders now. And they were closed. You don't need a bill for that.
Trump continued to speak about border issues, stating, "We have the highest level of terrorists we've ever had."
I think what's happening at our border, where they're allowing millions of people to come into our country every year, totally unchecked and unvetted, coming from prisons and mental institutions and coming in as terrorists. We have the highest level of terrorism, highest level of terrorists that we've ever had. We've never had this many terrorists come in. We had one year where and I don't even believe this myself, the Border Patrol made these charts, and in 1 year, in 2019, I guess it was, they had 0 were allowed. Now, I think it's probably wrong. It must have been some, but 0. They put it down as 0. And this was not from me. This was from them. And the following year, it was 11. And now we have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. And nothing good can happen with that. Nothing good is going to come out of that. So I really think it's a big part of the economy, too. But I think the number one threat that we have...
The legal mechanisms for these plans were unclear, as were some of Trump's economic promises, such as lowering interest rates, which the Federal Reserve controls.
You know, you can't have the American dream because I'm giving the American dream. I gave up so much during that 4-year period. We had the greatest economy. We had the greatest everything, and people were back to a thing called the American dream. I'm so glad you used the term. We're going to get interest rates way down. There are some places, you know, 35% the cost of a home are regulations and nonsense that shouldn't be, between long-term zoning where it takes years and years to get it developed. We're going to take a lot of that out. I did, and they put a lot of it back in. The environmental approvals are terrible, just terrible, so ridiculously bad. And we're going to get it taken care of. We'll bring down the cost. The biggest thing with 2 things. make the economy good so you get a lot of money, right? Make the economy good. And the other thing is interest rates. We're going to get interest rates. Right now, you can't get money. Even if you had a good job, you're paying 10%, you're paying 11, 12%, and you can't get it. When I was president, it was 2.2% interest, and now, and the money was all over the place, and now you can't get the money. So we're going to make sure that you can get the money.
Trump also claimed the U.S. became more energy dependent under President Joe Biden, a false statement. "We're going to make the economy much better," Trump stated several times, highlighting ideas like making overtime pay tax exempt and allowing car loan interest to be tax deductible. Sunday's town hall featured little back and forth. Much of the conversation, moderated by former sportscaster Sage Steele, focused on immigration, tax policy on tips, and energy production. Audience questions included, "What is your plan to lower taxes?" and "How soon will the wall be finished?" In several responses, Trump described America as a nation in decline, criticizing radical left lunatics and accusing Vice President Kamala Harris of overseeing an invasion of immigrants, some of whom he described as vicious.
Or I could be here with you people, and you know what? I would rather be here with you than any other thing that I can do, because you have a lot of people that are rich or wealthy and they can do what they want to do. But we're doing something that's unique. This is the greatest movement of all time. We're going to turn our country around. Our country is really, it's a failing nation. I don't care what you say. I mean, we're laughed at all over the world by other leaders. 4 years ago, we were respected by everybody. China, Russia. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked on October 7th. We would have never had the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, which is, you saw what happened in Afghanistan, the Taliban. We would have never had, think of it, we would have never had Afghanistan. We were getting out, but we were going to get out with dignity and strength, and we were going to keep the big air base Bagram because it's 1 hour away, spent billions and billions of dollars, just about the biggest, most powerful, longest runways in the world. We gave it to China. They gave it to China. China's now operating. We were 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We gave it up. Would have never happened. All of these things, we wouldn't have had inflation because our energy was so good. Energy caused the inflation, what they did with energy. But I said to myself, you know, sometimes I say, you know, I get hit with all these lunatics that we have, where the radical left lunatics, where they make up stories about Russia, Russia, Russia. In the end, I wouldn't change what we've done for anything. We're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. And we can't do that sitting on a beach, right? We can't do that sitting on a beach.
At one point, Trump joked that Pennsylvanians would frack like a duck if he were elected to a second term, referring to hydraulic fracturing, a method of extracting natural gas.
Fracking. How soon? How quickly? How much in Pennsylvania?
Well, we have to go. You know, what you're doing is fracking, but you can do much more. You can do double and triple what you're doing right now. You're restricted by so many different things that they put on. So we're going to let them frack, frack, frack like a duck. Frack, frack, frack. You can do 3 times what you're doing now and even 4 times, and you can do it. And it won't have any impact on you. It's not going to have any impact. So we can, and tremendous money. You can lower your taxes for the state, great for the country. But you're in a state that has tremendous, capability that you wouldn't even think. You don't think of Pennsylvania. When you think of Pennsylvania as a commonwealth and having to do with fracking, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought. But now it's your biggest, most important thing. It's 5. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania produces 500,000 energy jobs. They'd be wiped out. They'd be wiped out. So they can actually do a lot more if they wanted to, if they were allowed. I will allow them to do a lot more. We're going to get your energy bills down at a level that you haven't seen before.
Trump has repeatedly criticized Harris for changing her stance on fracking, which she opposed during her 2019 presidential run. "You're restricted by so many different things they put on," Trump said, "so we're going to let them frack, frack, frack like a duck. Frack, frack, frack." Trump also claimed that President Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Kamala, despite Harris being Biden's vice president and a member of his own party.
And honestly, they shouldn't be doing it. And, you know, they keep talking about a threat to democracy. They're a threat to democracy, and she's a threat to democracy. What they did is a terrible thing. And just to finish, I believe that Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Kamala. And who would think that? And, you know, look, the bottom line, so we had a debate, Joe Biden, we had a debate, and he didn't do great in the debate, but that's understandable. He didn't do well. And his poll numbers went down, but that's okay because you come back from that stuff. And what happened is incredible. Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, went in, and Schumer and all these guys went in. They said, we're taking it away. Nobody's ever seen that before. Nobody's ever done it before. And it should never happen again. It was a terrible thing. I will say that.
Trump began the event by addressing Social Security for individuals on fixed incomes and its relationship to inflation. He proposed a solution to protect seniors by cutting taxes on Social Security benefits. Trump also claimed,
Plan on working a little bit in terms of part-time jobs or any of that?
Yes, sir, I still do.
But one of the biggest things we're going to do is the economy is going to get good, but we have more liquid gold. You know, this is what caused the inflation. We had the best, we were energy independent. First time, I think, ever. We're energy independent, and now we're getting oil from Venezuela. We're getting tar from Venezuela because it comes out as tar. We have to heat the hell out of it. And it's done. There's only one place in the whole world that can do it, and that's in Houston, Texas. So for the environmental people, that stuff is going up in smoke in our territory, and we have the best, cleanest, the most oil and gas of any country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, including Russia, Saudi Arabia, all of them. And we're going to be using it. But here's the thing. We will get your energy bill, everybody in the audience, including businesses, down by 50% from 1 year from when we take office. And when that happens, everything else is going to follow. You know, so Sage, it was energy that caused, Bob, it was energy that caused the problem.
a Lancaster County sheriff in attendance who endorsed Trump asked how his policies would support local sheriffs and their programs. Trump responded by stating,
"Protect our law enforcement. We have to indemnify them against the bad things. You know, if you do your job well, oftentimes they go after you. They want your house. They want your pension. They want to fire you. We can't have that. We have great people, and we have people that have to be given back their authority and their respect because our cities are blowing up. We had the worst crime that we've ever had in the last year. Remember the other day, pretty recently, we were at the debate where I was debating with David Muir of ABC Fake News. And I said, we have crime at a level that we've never had it. And a lot of it's migrant crime now. The migrants are coming and they're causing crime and they're tough as hell. And they're causing they're taking over like Aurora and in Colorado. And I mean, they're taking over buildings. They're in the real estate business all of a sudden, but they're vicious people and they're taking over. And he said, no, the crime is down. Crime is down. I said, crime's not down. No, it's down. The following day, they released the figures, and crime is up 45%. And I haven't gotten this guy, David Muir. Everything I said, I said, who am I debating here? I had two of them from ABC, and I had her. She was the easy one, but they were terrible. They never questioned her on one thing, but he said, crime is down. No, crime is way up. And the FBI, we have to look at this, because the FBI put out charts that crime was down initially, because they didn't report certain little areas of the country, like the worst areas in the country for crime. And it turned out that their stats were very wrong and very misleading. But he was wrong because it's up like at least 45%. That's an incredible. You take a look at Venezuela, take a look at some of these countries that are taking all their gang members and their criminals off the streets and giving them to us. Their crime is down 40, 50, 60, 70%. So we're going to give you back the dignity and the respect. You know, we have great respect for you, and we're not going to let this happen. You can stop crime. You just have to be given the go-ahead. You go to Chicago, you go to a lot of cities, and they rob a department store, and guys are walking out with refrigerators. They have it on their back with two friends, and air conditioning and everything. And they literally are stripping, and the police are standing outside, and they're shaking out of anger because they really want to do something, but they're told to stand down, and they're watching these criminals walk out. We're not going to have that happen.
The discussion shifted to jobs, particularly regarding the impact of migrants on job availability in American towns. Trump said that immigration would be a top priority if he wins, and he referenced his decision to close the borders immediately without needing legislation. In his closing remarks, Trump stated,
"Or I could be here with you people, and you know what? I would rather be here with you than any other thing that I can do, because you have a lot of people that are rich or wealthy and they can do what they want to do. But we're doing something that's unique. This is the greatest movement of all time. We're going to turn our country around. Our country is really, it's a failing nation. I don't care what you say. I mean, we're laughed at all over the world by other leaders.